Everyone nowadays has an addiction. I'm not the only one. It's not really an addiction per se. I just have a couple bad habits. Have you ever struggled with addictions? Let's talk about it. What's going on, guys? Today's episode of Therapy Thursdays, I want to discuss the topic of addictions. And to kind of talk about my personal history with addictions. As always, I can only talk about what I've experienced, so I haven't experienced everything in the world. But I do feel that there are core commonalities between a lot of things in life, between our stress, our pain, addictions, depression, anxiety. Like, there are root causes that span across all of these mediums. Maybe the outlet is different in individual ways, but I feel a lot of the core stuff is the same, and that's kind of what I want to talk about, is the core of things. I always believe that things aren't always as they seem, meaning that you may see things on a surface level, but there's always a deeper cause for it. There's always a story behind someone's pain, and that's what I like getting down to. I think that's what helps my analytical brain, because I love to analyze things and figure things out. And a lot of addictions or mental health issues are kind of like puzzles, and they have a solution, and you kind of want to get down to the nitty gritty and figure out where this addiction came from, or where this problem came from, what makes it tick. And that just helps me personally. And it helps the person too, because you can deal with just surface level stuff. You can slap a Band-Aid on something, but unless you get to the root cause of things, that problem will continue to reoccur and will just keep following you the rest of your life. I don't think we want our problems following us for the rest of our lives. We want healing. We want the pain to stop. So let's address the real causes. So when it comes to addictions, I myself have had two addictions that I know of. The first one being to food. I ran to food at a very young age to help console me and heal me and make me feel better. And the second one was pornography. There are a lot of schools of thought about pornography. Some people think you can't be addicted. Those who have the addiction will beg to differ. But I don't want to talk about the specific addictions themselves. I want to talk about the root causes. So I've dealt with two different addictions, and there are root causes, the same root causes to both of those addictions. If you've ever struggled with addictions, or you know someone who struggles with addictions, it's not, again, surface level. There's a story behind where that addiction came from and why that addiction holds on so tightly, and sometimes it's difficult to get rid of. But for me, my root cause of my addictions was a damaged childhood, where I didn't feel loved. I felt abandoned by my biological father. I didn't get the love and attention that I needed. So I ran to these outside sources to fill me up. And I use quotations because they don't really fill you up. The thing about addictions is that they're all temporary. If you've ever struggled with addiction, or you're currently struggling with one, you know what I'm talking about. You get that high, you get that numb feeling where you don't want to feel anymore, but it comes back. That high goes away. The pain comes back. The emotions come back. The feelings go back. And this is why you have people that always want to be high off of whatever their addiction is, because they don't want to feel. That's one of the root causes of addictions, is that sometimes people just don't want to feel. They want to be numb to the pain instead of facing it. You know why? Because it's painful. I completely understand when people have addictions. It is painful. That's an obvious truth. Whatever you're going through, it's painful, and people who don't want to face that pain, don't want to feel it, don't want to process it, they'll numb themselves. They'll numb themselves with any number of addictions in the world. And the term addictions can scare some people because it seems like this hardcore, rough term and title. But the reality is, addictions can be grand, like a heroin addiction and sex addictions. And then it could be minute stuff like social media addiction. Some people have addictions for the likes. I need as many likes as I can. I need as many emojis and reactions and comments as I can, because there's a void that they're trying to use social media to fill. And again, that's like this spectrum. Some people may think, oh, social media is harmless, and on the spectrum, it's nothing. I just check my phone once every 10 minutes. or maybe even more often than that. And then you have the hardcore, if you want to say, addictions where it's heroin and all these hardcore drugs. Again, it's the same root cause. And because it's the same root cause, like any kind of addiction you have on this spectrum, you can't judge somebody else just because you think their addiction is a little bit worse or a little bit harder, a little bit rougher than yours. Like, the root cause is all the same. There's unresolved issues and unresolved pain that we need to get down to and heal. And we so often deal with the symptoms instead of dealing with the disease. So the symptoms can be, oh, social media is the problem. Oh, well, just limit your time on your phone to an hour a day, or we try to put these parameters and limits on ourselves when the core cause is why. Why are you on social media all the time? Why do you feel this necessity for likes and pats on the back and emojis and heart eye emojis and these love emojis? Where does that come from? Well, it's because I want the attention. I want the love. Okay, let's keep going back. Why do you need the attention and the love? Maybe you're missing it. Maybe you never got it as a child or from past relationships, or maybe you don't love yourself. So you have this hole inside of you and you're forever trying to fill it with people and their opinions and their likes and their support, and it never gets filled because you're not healed. So all addictions stem from an unresolved issue. There's something going on inside of you. If you have an addiction, I would highly suggest finding a therapist, and because what's going to happen is the therapist is going to help you get to the root cause of your problem, and it's going to be painful. It's going to be going back to traumatic times and traumas that hurt you. But if you deal with the pain and heal it, it won't follow you to the future. And it's amazing is when you deal with the root causes, the addictions themselves kind of fall to the side and take care of themselves, because you no longer need them to fulfill a void if you filled the void the proper way and getting healed. That's it, man. Like, there's always root causes to addictions. So especially too, because we love to cast judgment. When you see someone that, has an addiction in any kind of form, and you're like, oh, they're weak or there's something wrong with them, like, understand that there's root causes to addictions. And the problem is we start off with the root cause, which is lack of love or trauma or something painful that happened in our past that we use these addictions to numb. But then the problem is that the addiction themselves brings their own problems. So if it's a physical addiction, such as putting drugs into your system, you have a physiological effect from those drugs. So now your physical body is addicted literally to this substance, and now you're addicted to the substance and you feel like you can't live without it. So it was supplying an emotional need or an emotional deficiency, and now you have a physical deficiency because you fed your body poison. And this cycle just continues and continues and gets worse and worse. And it can be scary. It can be a very scary path. As always, this Therapy Thursdays is designed to instill hope. So even if you've had addictions, it's not the end of the day. There is still light at the end of the tunnel. There is still hope available for you. Please reach out to me. Reach out to other people who celebrate healing. Find a therapist. But there are root causes to addictions. And when we attack the root causes, as opposed to the superficial things that come out from an addiction, that's when we see healing, is when we go after the issues, is when we attack them with all we have, man. So that's my advice to you. I don't want to drag this out anymore. Addictions stem from unresolved issues, and the only way to get rid of them is to resolve those issues. You have to go back. You have to face the pain. You have to process it, understand what happened, and move forward. But you have to go back. Most people want to avoid going back. That's the only true way of healing, is to go back and heal the unresolved issues, and you'll watch your addictions fall by the wayside. All right, guys, stay hopeful. Stay hopeful. That's all I need to say. There is hope. There is light at the end of the tunnel. Stay focused. Stay focused on your healing. Your healing is what matters most. Make sure you get healed, because you're no good for the rest of the world if you aren't good for yourself. All right, guys. As always, please follow me on all my social media channels, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Follow me on my website at sharethepositivity.com. Sign up for my newsletter. Working on a lot of things, so I want you guys to stay tuned and follow along for the journey, okay? Please comment on this video, like the video, share the video, keep getting the word out, and we'll see you next week. Talk to you soon.